Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from the first group. We would like to present about listening comprehension part A. There are 4 presentators. They will explain the material. The first presentator is Siti Syarifatul Mutmainah. The second is Lulu Awalina. And the third presentator is Renita Agustina Umami. And the last presentator is Lili Rahmawati. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Siti Syarifatul Mutmainah. I would like to explain about listening comprehension in TOEFL test. Actually, in listening part A and the strategy in listening part A, there are skill 1 and skill 2, and also the language function that contains in part A, in listening part A. In the TOEFL test, there is listening comprehension section. You will listen to record materials and response to question about material. These are divided into 3 parts. The first is part A, short conversation and contents of 30 dialogue and 1 question each. The second is part B, long conversation and contents 2 conversation and several questions each. And the last is part C, longer talks and contains 3 talks and several questions each. Okay, in listening comprehension part A, you will hear 30 very short conversation between a man and a woman. For each one, you will hear a question and choose the best answer from the 4 choices written in your textbook. For example, you may hear, the man said to the woman, I've always wanted to visit Hawaii with you. And the woman answered, why not next month? And the narrator asks, what does the woman mean? So, in the 4 choice, the answer is C, because the woman said, why not next month? There is a suggestion that they take the trip next month. Actually, the explanation of suggestion will be explained later. In listening part A section of TOEFL test, there is strategy that will help you to do the listening test. The strategy are called by skill. Skill 1, focus on the second line. The second line of conversation usually contains the answer, so you have to focus on the second line. But if you don't understand the second line, don't worry, because it probably doesn't contain the answer.
TOEFL Exercise 1. In this exercise, listen carefully to the short conversation and question on the tape, and then choose the best answer to the question. You should focus carefully on the second line. Number 1.
How soon will you be leaving?
I'm on my way now.
What does the man mean?
In the recording audio, it is the example of skill 1, focus on the second line. In the conversation, the woman asks the man, how soon will you be leaving? The man answers, I'm on my way. As I explained earlier, we must focus on the second line. That's the man said, I'm on my way. So the answer is A. He is leaving now, because in the second line means now the man is leaving or he is on the way. Skill 2. Choose answer with synonym. In the listening part A, the answer often contains with synonym. So, if you see any synonym in the answer choice, then you probably found the answer.
TOEFL Exercise 2. In this exercise, listen carefully to the short conversation and question on the tape, and then choose the best answer to the question. You should look for synonyms for key words in the second line. Number 1.
What did you think of the final exam in algebra?
It was too easy.
What does the man mean?
This is the example of skill 2, choose answer with synonym. In this conversation, the keyword is that what the man said. It was too easy. Too easy refers to not very difficult, therefore the answer is D. The exam was not very difficult.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I will explain skill 3 until skill 6. Skill 3. Avoid words with the same sound. Often the incorrect answer in listening part A are answer that contains words with similar sounds but different meaning from what you hear in the recording program. So you have to avoid this answer.
TOEFL Exercise 3. In this exercise, listen carefully to the short conversation and question on the tape, and then choose the best answer to the question. You should be careful to avoid answers with similar sounds. Number 1.
How long until you'll be ready to leave?
First, I need to water the grass.
What does the woman mean?
Exercise 3. In the conversation, the man asked the woman, "How long until you be ready to leave first?" And the woman answered, "I need water the grass." The keyword in the second line of the conversation are water and grass. In A, there is word grass, and B, there is water and glass, and D, there is grass. That means the sound is similar with grass and water, so the answer is C. The lawn is too dry because in C, no words in similar sounds with water and grass. Skill 4. Draw conclusion about who, what, where. In this type of question, the answer is not clearly stated. Instead, you must draw in conclusion based on clues given in the conversation. You make your question like this: who is the man? What will the man probably do next? Where does this conversation probably take place?
TOEFL Exercise 4. In this exercise, listen carefully to the short conversation and question on the tape, and then choose the best answer to the question. You will have to draw conclusions about who, what, and where. Number 1.
I didn't bring my laboratory manual today.
You can share mine. Today we're conducting the experiment on photosynthesis, and we can work together.
Where does this conversation probably take place?
But you see, the people I'm going with are taking me out for the day.
There are also certain remarks leading up to an invitation.
What are you doing next Monday?
Well, let me...
Number 2.
Are you doing anything...
This is Flight 707 requesting permission to land.
Flight 707, you are cleared for landing.
Social as far as I know.
Who is the man?
Can I come and talk to you about X-rays then?
I'll pick you up about tea time. I could come round for you about 6:45.
I'll call for you about 4 if that suits you.
Number 3.
Hello, Tati.
You want to do the dishes now or later?
I'd rather put them off as long as possible.
By the way,
What will the man probably do?
Special as far as I know.
Exercise 4. Number 1. The clues laboratory, photosynthesis, in the conversation tell you that this conversation probably take place at the biology laboratory, so the answer is D. Number 2. The clues flight and landing, and the conversation tell you that the man is probably a pilot. Number 3. The man says he would like to put the dishes as long as possible, so the next the man does is after the dishes is cleaned up, so the answer is D. Wait until later to clean up. Skill 5. Listen for who and what in passive. Sometimes the conversation contains an active statement, so the answer is passive.
TOEFL Exercise 5. In this exercise, listen carefully to the short conversation and question on the tape, and then choose the best answer to the question. You should be particularly careful of passives.
You might try the hunger
Number 1.
at the festival hall.
Would you like to go to the new restaurant on the corner?
Is that the one that serves vegetarian food?
What does the woman want to know?
Discuss what to do next.
Exercise 5. In the conversation, the woman asks the man, "Is that the one that says vegetarian foods?" It contains an active statement, so the answer is passive. Therefore, the answer is D, if vegetarian food can be obtained. Skill 6. Listen for who and what with multiple nouns. In listening part A, some conversation name more than one noun in a sentence. It is common for the answer to confuse which noun does what, so listen carefully.
TOEFL Exercise 6. In this exercise, listen carefully to the short conversation and question on the tape, and then choose the best answer to the question.
Forgotten my umbrella.
You should be particularly careful of who is doing what.
A conversation
Number 1.
at the boarding house again.
The passenger arrived in a taxi.
Hello there.
Yes, and then she had the taxi driver wait at the corner.
Oh, yes.
What does the woman mean?
Thanks for your directions. But the man
Exercise 6. In the conversation, woman responds to the main question. She talks about she is herself and taxi driver because she had the taxi driver wait at the corner. This means she asks the taxi driver to wait around the corner, not the taxi driver who was waiting for her. So answer therefore is C.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Renita Kusuna Umami. I would like to explain skill 7 about listen for negative expression. Sometimes you will hear a negative expression in a conversation. Often the correct answer will contain an opposite word or positive statement.
TOEFL Exercise 7. In this exercise, listen carefully to the short conversation and question on the tape, and then choose the best answer to the question. You should be particularly careful of negative expressions. Number 1.
Are you going to take out the trash?
I have no time to do it.
What does the woman mean?
Exercise 7. It's like in the conversation the man said to the woman, "Are you going to take out the trash?" And the woman answered, "I have no time to do it," because the answer is the woman negative expression. So the meaning is opposite word of positive statement. Then the opposite of "I have no time" is busy. So the answer is A. She is very busy. Skill 8. Listen for double negative expression. Some sentences have two negative expressions that together make a positive ID.
TOEFL Exercise 8. In this exercise, listen carefully to the short conversation and question on the tape, and then choose the best answer to the question. You should be particularly careful of double negatives. Number 1.
Do you think Ron Rogers will be elected?
Well, it's not completely impossible. What does the woman imply about Ron?
Exercise 8. The correct answer to the question is D, because in the conversation the woman said, "Well, it's not completely impossible." There are double negative expressions in one sentence, so the result is positive. It means Ron Roger possible to elect its suit with D. Skill 7. Listen for almost negative expression. There are several almost negative expressions in English word. In almost negative expression, there are two meanings, namely almost none and almost never. Almost none means there is but a little, while almost never occurs but almost rarely. For example, if someone said, I barely finished the test in time, it means that he did finish in time but with not much time left over.
TOEFL Exercise 9. In this exercise, listen carefully to the short conversation and question on the tape, and then choose the best answer to the question. You should be particularly careful of almost negative expressions. Number 1. Do you expect a lot of rain this month?
It hardly ever rains in July.
What does the man mean?
Exercise 9. In the man's statement, he said, it hardly ever rains in July. The word hardly ever indicates that there is little rain in July, so the answer is A. Skill 10. Listen for negative with comparative. When the sentence have negative and comparative, so the meaning is superlative.
TOEFL Exercise 10. In this exercise, listen carefully to the short conversation and question on the tape, and then choose the best answer to the question. You should be particularly careful of comparatives with negatives. Number 1.
Are you pleased with the exam results?
I couldn't be happier.
What does the woman mean?
Exercise 10. In the conversation, it's heard that the woman responds to the man's question with the negative, cold not, and the comparative, happier. This combination has a superlative meaning. Therefore, the answer is D. She is delighted with the result. Besides strategies, some questions in Part A are about the function of language. All the different things we can do with words. For example, we can express an opinion, agree and disagree with someone else's opinion, refuse and accept the suggestion, express certainty and uncertainty or surprise and etc. It is important to understand the expression and idiom related to this function. They are found in the TOEFL test. We need to recognize what the speaker is trying to do.
I will explain from skill 11 until skill 13. Skill 11 about listen for expression of agreement. Often speaker on the TOEFL disagree with another speaker. These are expressions that show agreement with a positive statement as like, so do I do too, me too. And sometimes agree with a negative statement as like, neither do I don't either.
TOEFL Exercise 11. In this exercise, listen carefully to the short conversation and question on the tape, and then choose the best answer to the question. You should pay attention to expressions of agreement. Number 1.
I'd like to take a trip down the coast this weekend.
Me too. What does the woman mean? Number 2. I would like to see Matt elected to the town council next month.
So would I.
What does the man mean?
Exercise 11. In the conversation is heard that she said me too. The expression me too is an expression that shows agreement with a positive statement. So the woman means that she agree with the man. So the answer is no for D. She would also like to trip. Skill 12. About reason for expression for uncertainty and suggestion. When the speaker expresses uncertainty like is not it. As far as I know, as far as I can tell, then the answer must be thing or like, because this word express uncertainty as well as suggestion. Sometimes speakers express suggestion like why not? Let's blah blah blah.
TOEFL Exercise 12. In this exercise, listen carefully to the short conversation and question on the tape, and then choose the best answer to the question. You should be particularly careful of expressions of uncertainty and suggestion. Number 1. Are we supposed to read all 10 chapters before the exam?
As far as I can tell, we are.
What does the man mean? Number 2.
You're out of apple pie.
Sorry, why not try the cherry pie? What does the woman suggest?
Exercise 12. In the conversation in this heard that I was supposed to read all in chapter before the exam. As far as I can tell, there is as far as I can tell. As I explained earlier in so an expression of uncertainty was answered. Must be thing or night. So the answer here is B. He think he know what the assessment is. And from the second conversation, the man says, I am not trying to type. This shows the suggestion that the man never trying type. So automatically, the man suggests to try something else. So the most correct answer is B. The man shall try something else. Skill 13. About reason for emphatic expression of surprise. When the speaker expresses surprise by emphasizing certain word, so the speaker does not expect it to be true but assumes that the opposite is true, as seen from the expression of emphatic surprise below. For B, which with emphasis as like then he is here, the meaning is I took he was not here.
Number 2. My motorcycle is over there. That's how I got to school today.
So you can ride a motorcycle.
What had the man assumed?
Exercise 13. In a conversation that is heard, a man saying to a woman, so you can ride a motorcycle? As I explained earlier, the speaker here expressed a surprise of certain word, so the meaning of man does not expect the answer to be correct, but the opposite is true. So the most correct answer is C. The woman did not know how to ride a motorcycle, because in this case, what the speaker meant was not that the woman could ride a motorcycle, but the opposite was that the woman did not know how to ride a motorcycle.
Okay, thank you for watching our explanation. Just it from us. If there is any mistake, forgive us. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.